Have you ever had that feeling that you are an imposter? You're sort of a fraud. You're feeling a bit sus. Imposter syndrome affects a lot of creatives, a lot of business people, people who have achieved something in their life. For me, I've experienced imposter syndrome and sort of battled it and overcome it during the course of my basically 10-year career as a designer. Imposter syndrome can be defined in the dictionary as an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. Have you ever had that experience where you feel like people are watching you, waiting for you to slip up and to call you out for not being the person you said you were? I have all the time. No wonder. I'm on YouTube. People are always commenting. My biggest fear is that people don't think that I'm a designer, or that because I didn't go to university, I don't qualify as one. When in actual reality, my profession and my expertise and the vast amount of my knowledge is in graphic design, brand identity, and general creativity. It's always been at the back of my mind that because I haven't gone to university to study this, that I shouldn't be showing people on YouTube how to design things. I shouldn't be teaching about the business behind it. And because I'm not like $1 million company yet, that I shouldn't be teaching people how to make money through design. Sometimes I feel like I'm a fraud because of this. If you are anything like that, and I've just spoken to you directly, then chances are you've experienced something called imposter syndrome from time to time. Maybe you've lost opportunities of work, or maybe you're scared to work with bigger clients with a huge budget because you yourself, you don't feel adequate. You don't feel like you can do it. Well, in this video, I'm going to be showing you the ways that I myself have overcome imposter syndrome. And mind you, it's a daily battle, and even talking about this makes me feel a bit like a fraud because I still feel like an imposter sometimes, but it's about what we do. And I'm going to show you what I do through this video. This video is brought to you by FreshBooks. Before I get into it, I just want to encourage you guys to press that red subscribe button. This year, we're sort of pivoting from the beginner style of design, so not just tutorials, but we're also going into more of the professional, the deep end things, the psychological things like client relations, talking about how you should actually design brand assets to get the best product for your client, talking about scaling your clients through a webinar that I'll link down below, so many things. To recognize whether you have imposter syndrome or not, it's good to sit and think of times where your brain has thought some of these things. You aren't a good designer. You just got lucky. One day, someone's going to catch you out. You shouldn't enjoy your success. You don't deserve it. The first step to overcoming something like imposter syndrome for me was recognizing that I was sort of suffering with it. The first time I ever heard of imposter syndrome was when I was at Adobe Live for my first time in Paris. I was hanging around with some of the other streamers, and they basically said, "Oh, it looks like you're suffering with," well, not suffering, but you are experiencing imposter syndrome. From there, I sort of did some light study of it, just checking it online, and yep, sure enough, I was experiencing it. Once you've thought about whether you're experiencing it and what your thought patterns are, I would suggest you write them down. These are the big 3 thoughts that I wrote down on my Instagram carousel. Go follow me on Instagram. Now that I've written these down, I can sort of recognize when I'm experiencing something like imposter syndrome when I'm working, and it can actually have a detrimental effect on me. So the way that I deal with it, number 1, is celebrating success. When you've finished a project, landed that client, or done something that is worth celebrating, you should celebrate. In times like we're in now, where the world is in lockdown, celebration has sort of taken a downward turn. No one's celebrating anything. It doesn't feel appropriate. But what I would suggest is that even the smallest things to celebrate, such as finishing a client project, getting that paycheck, getting that dream client, or even just another client to keep you going, is something to celebrate. Even little milestones for me, such as people coming onto a live stream, or people signing up for a webinar, or people buying my brushes, each one of those things I take a little time to celebrate. When I hit YouTube milestones, me and Naomi always like have a drink together and enjoy it. And I always say that we're celebrating when we hit a milestone because I think it's very important. It's not only important to celebrate because it feels good to celebrate, but it also gives you positive self-esteem. Acknowledging that you've done something well and you've achieved something in a positive way, such as celebrating it instead of hiding, is what's going to allow you to fully understand that you worked for that, so that this celebration is for something that we have achieved, not from the backs of anyone else, but just from what we've done. When you don't celebrate, it can kind of just linger there and you start to question it. I see celebration as more of like a closed end to something, that you're getting closure upon this. It's why we have a birthday. We celebrate another year that we've lived and we hope for better next year. And that's what we do when we celebrate. So when these thoughts arise, when you feel like you're a fraud, feeling a bit sus, celebrate something, find an achievement, write it down and then celebrate it, have a drink, buy something that you've wanted to buy for a long time. For me, that's like a new video game or a new gadget that I want. Treating yourself, celebrating closes why you've done something good and achieved something.
Clothes.
Treat yourself.
Fragrances.
Treat yourself.
Massages.
Treat yourself.
Mimosas.
Treat yourself.
Fine leather goods.
Treat yourself.
Number 2 is just be honest. Think about how you got to where you are now. How did you get to achieve what you have? For me, on my YouTube channel, which is one of my biggest successes, which I love, not just because I get to do this, talk to you, but because I get to meet so many new people and see so many opportunities in life. Now, when I think about it, I can feel like a fraud in design. I don't feel much of a fraud in YouTube, but when I'm thinking of design and I get a big client project, I have to be honest with myself. And the honesty in me says that my brain is telling me that I'm probably not cut out as a designer because, one, there are plenty of better people than me. They can do better work than me and everything else. I didn't go to university. And what if the client catches me out? What if they don't think that I'm as good as I am? Well, this is where we have to be honest. The honesty part doesn't come from just looking at your skills, but be honest on how you achieved something. For me, how did I achieve my client base? How did I achieve every single client? Well, it's through hard work in my portfolio. I showed my work. So therefore, I cannot be an imposter. I can't be a fraud when the clients have seen my work, the things that I have done, my ideas that I have presented to them, and they like it enough to work with me. The same is for like YouTube, or the same is for any other thing like Instagram. How did you get it's like 1 million followers on Instagram? Or how did you earn $1 million in this creative company? Well, the way you do that is through the hard work. Be honest. And just a little warning as well. When you check Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you'll see a lot of gurus. I would like to think of myself more as someone who guides you around design. I don't want to be the guy who's all knowing, but gurus can make people feel like they don't know anything, and we can kind of idolize them. There's a difference between looking up to someone and idolizing. Now, when people ask me this question of who do I, inspire, who do I aspire to be like? I don't really have anyone because we're so unique, and I don't mind that. I just want to do well in what we do, and I want to sort of change the world for design, make everything look better and work better. So when you're looking at these gurus online and you're thinking, wow, these guys are like superstars, they know what they're doing. I want to be just like them. They never make a mistake, and I bet they never feel like they're an imposter. Just remember, they are human, and 100% they have definitely felt what you're feeling at one point in their life. And one day you won't feel it either when you recognize it. Creativity and life is a competition, but it's also a journey. Everything that we do, everyone else is going to feel something similar to you. People experience things similar. So don't think that that guru that you're looking at today is going to be thinking that you're a fraud or whatever, because they're not. And I'll explain why. The next point is the spotlight effect. Now, I just want to give a huge shout out to one of my favorite YouTubers, Ali Abdaal, who you can find the link down below, because he's talked about this in one of his videos, which has inspired this one called Overcoming Imposter Syndrome. Now, the spotlight syndrome's definition is this. The spotlight effect is a term used by social psychologists to refer to a tendency we have to overestimate how much other people notice about us. In other words, we tend to think there is a spotlight on us at all times, highlighting all our mistakes or flaws for all the world to see. Do you ever feel like when you walk into a shop, or like maybe your church congregation or whatever, that all eyes are on you? Well, that is the spotlight effect. And the reason why we feel like this is because we're all self-centered. We're all thinking about ourselves. So a way to overcome imposter syndrome, or a step in the right direction, is to understand that you are falling for the spotlight effect. Whilst you think that everyone else is looking at you, wondering what you're doing, how you're acting, rest assured, they're not even worried about you because they are worried about themselves. We are all a selfish type of person. We are all worried about ourselves. We're not looking at anyone else. So understanding this, knowing this, and basically living by this really helps you to understand that, people aren't always looking at you and thinking that you're a fraud. The next point is thinking correctly. This point is kind of like celebrating, but it's not. When we think and ruminate, we have to make sure that we're ruminating on the right things, that we're thinking and dwelling on the good things. Positive mental attitude doesn't just make the world better. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't think, just having a positive mental attitude will make everything better. I think it can help massively. It can give you things to do and make you feel better and give you purpose. But the point is, when we think about things, instead of wondering, how did I get to where I am now? Think about what you've achieved to get to where you are now. How did you achieve that? For me, I posted videos on YouTube consistently. I spent a lot of time researching what people wanted to see. So therefore, I got loads of people watching. No one shouted me out. I just got people watching organically. The way I achieved my client base and our business situation is through everyday work. Every little thing that I've put into place, such as doing this video, doing online courses, doing my client work, showing my portfolio, and just being active online and doing all the things that I talk about in the webinar that I'll be promoting. It's down below in the description if you want to check it out. All those little things that I've done have allowed me to get to a point where I've achieved something. No one really gave me a shout out. I earned it. Therefore, I'm not an imposter. I've actually proven my worth in the industry. Just before I get to the last and probably the most important point, I just want to thank the sponsor of this video, FreshBooks. FreshBooks is a cloud accounting service where you can gather up all your invoices and send them and gather up all your expenses. As designers and creatives, owners of small to medium-sized businesses, it's important to be on time when sending invoices and getting paid on time. We've all had that issue before when a client has said they've never received the invoice. Well, luckily FreshBooks has a way of you messaging the client directly on their platform, and you can even tell, it tells you when they've viewed the invoice. So you'll never have that type of client again who will tell you that they never received that invoice, because you'll know that they did. It's got automatic late fees on there to persuade your client to pay you on time. And not only that, probably one of the best features is that you can allow your accountant to come into your account very easily to sort out all your tax bills. If you would like to try FreshBooks for completely free for 30 days, with no credit card input required, then click the link down below in the description and let them know that Will Paterson, me, sent them to you. So the last couple of points, one of them is very important. If you feel like an imposter, if you are feeling sus, if you are experiencing imposter syndrome, it means that you've achieved something. By definition, if you experience, how did I get here? It means that you've either way achieved something good or something beneficial to you. You either worked hard to get an opportunity to come to pass, or you've had a good time getting there. Someone's helped you out. You've achieved something, and that's good. It's not bad. You're not an imposter. You've achieved something. And it could be worse. You could have the Dunning-Kruger effect. What? This is the opposite of imposter syndrome, where those with low unlimited abilities believe they have higher abilities. And you wouldn't believe the amount of people like this. And sometimes I feel like I am this. Maybe I think that I've got higher abilities than I already do, but that's for another video. I do not experience this too often. But if you do have the Dunning-Kruger effect, stop commenting. I can see you. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please press the red subscribe button. It's completely free and the channel is packed with so much information. It's so valuable to you for creativity, for your design services. I do a lot of tutorials. This year, again, we're pivoting into doing more of the business style of design. So we want to see what people are doing in their businesses. We're going to be interviewing more people. It's going to be a great year. And if you're struggling to find clients this year, I've just opened enrollment to my webinar. There's only a select few spaces for the first one. And basically the webinar is all about gaining more clients, how to gain a consistent client base in your creative niche. And I'll be taking questions, but the main thing is it's a whiteboard session where I'm going to be showing you our basic kind of like a formula and getting clients. And it's not just through showing my work on YouTube. There's a lot of other things that go into it as well. If you'd like 30% off the webinar, then the first 10 people to click the link down below and purchase it will get 30% off. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Great success